Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to lesson 4, and today is going to be packed with a lot of vital, exciting information. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about some of the credit repair strategies, right? So this is, some of the nice gems, and let's just dive into it. I want to just go into it because we're going to talk about, how to use the laws, right? And now that you have like a good understanding of, the laws, I will show you how to use them, right? And I'll also add in here the top 10 elite letters, right, that are great for the credit disputing process. And make sure you download them, right? So make sure you download them. If you want to go download it now, just go into the product section. You'll see the elite top 10 letters, right? And just get the letters right there, and we can get going through as we process through in the lesson. So when it comes down to the credit repair strategies, there are many different types of strategies. The easiest of all strategies is the sending out of the dispute letters, right? And that's when you just send out the letters to each one of the credit bureaus there. And this is the easiest because what it does is that it puts the work on the credit bureaus for them to verify the items, right? And they have 30 days to do so. And if they don't do it in 30 days, then we write some other letters for them to delete it, right? So some other strategies are disputing directly with the furnishers, right? Again, so if you don't know what the furnishers are that company that's reporting the negative or positive item to your credit report, right? So this process can actually be a little bit drawn out, right? Because with the furnishers, you can only dispute one item at a time, right? And the sad part, unfortunately, furnishers are known for ignoring letters and disputes that's sent to them. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to hold them accountable. Then you also have interventions. So this is referred to as a goodwill intervention, right? It's by sending a very nice letter, right? Asking them to remove the late payment, right? This strategy, it really works best on if you have an open account with them, right? And you have good history, and they'll more likely be prone to remove one or two late payments, right? So you want to make sure that if you are going to sort of like try to get it off, like make sure it's an account that you still have. Or the other option, the other strategy is that you can do a settlement. Most people don't like to do settlements, but it's a step. Like if you owe money, you have to pay back that money, right? It's just the truth. Now, if you've exhausted all of your options, when does this come into play, right? Like if you've exhausted all of your options to remove the collections, right, and and it's not really working for you, you can always negotiate when you're settling, right? And this can be done simply, like either by phone or letter. I absolutely recommend by doing it by a letter, right? Just make sure that any agreement that you come up with this collection company, that you have it in writing, right? And this would be a great time to also ask for a pay per delete letter, right? This is a letter that they're going to give, right, in writing, approving that they'll remove any negative item on your report upon payment. Now, a lot of collection companies don't do it, just being like transparent. They may tell you that they would, and then they don't. So you have to make sure and get this in writing. Absolutely. So let's talk about the anatomy of a letter, right? So now that you've figured out, okay, well, let's figure out which route that we're going in. Like now we're going to dispute with the credit bureaus, right? We need you to be able to know how to structure a letter, right? And there are many softwares that do this as far as like credit repair softwares. And you can even use ChatGPT to help you when you're generating a letter. Like ChatGPT does a lot of fantastic things there. But just in case you have to write it out, right? I want to be able to just show you how a letter is actually structured, right? So in the heading, of course, you want to make sure at the top, you want to make sure and have your name. You want to make sure and have your first name, last name. You want to make sure and have your address, right? And you want to also put in the last four of your social security number. And that's just in that heading section. Now, right underneath that, you want to be able to put the recipient information, right? So the recipient information would be the credit bureau, whether it be like Equifax, and their address as well, right? Next, we're going to get into the body. Now, the body is the main part of the letter, right? And it must include three parts. And this is the way that it's structured. So you want to have the intro, right? And this is the purpose of the letter. Then you want to have the main content, right? So the main content is all of the details, and there's really no set length for the main content. And then you want to have the summary, right? You want to summarize and you want to reinstate the intent of the letter and follow up and provide follow-up instructions. So that's the body of it. Then here's the part when you want to start like listing out all of the items, right? So you want to make sure and add that furnisher's name. Let's say if it's a collection company or someone you owe, right? Or it's just the credit card, maybe it's a repossession, whatever that item is, right? You want to have the name of that company. Then right underneath it, you want to put the account number. And you can find the account number right on the credit report, right? It would say account number. You would just put in those couple digits in there. Then you want to make sure and write a reason, right? So the reason for each item that you want to either like have it removed or updated, right? So I'll give you an example. So it's either you want to say like the following item is not mine, right? Or the following item is outdated. This is the reason why we want this item to either be removed or to be updated or to be investigated, right? Then you want to give them the instructions. You want to tell them exactly what it is that you want them to do, right? So example, it's like, please investigate, right? This inaccurate information and remove it. Or please remove this misleading information, or please correct and update, right? So you're telling them like, hey, I've found this item, right? And the reason is that it's not mine or it's outdated, and now I want you to investigate this and remove this, right? You're showing them that you found it, and now you want them to remove it. Now, here's an important part. At the bottom of it, right, do not forget to sign the letter, right? And you want to make sure and add a copy of your driver's license, right? So just take a picture of it, put it on there, and also add proof of address. So proof of address can be a variety of things. Proof of address can be a utility bill, something that has your address on it. Proof of address can be like car insurance, something that has your address on it. Proof of address can be a bank statement, something that has your address on it, that is an actual, that verifies a true address. Okay, so that's the structure of a letter. I also have the image here that you can see. But now I want us to go over the elite top 10 effective letters for basic disputing, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, here is the time that you want to make sure and grab those letters, right? Again, go into the product section, get yourself the elite top 10 letters so that we can go along with this together. I'm going to read it out, but I want you to look at the letters so you see in writing what is inside of those letters. And trust me, this is something that you need, right? And now I'm just going to go over the different structures, the different steps, the different rounds of letters, because most people think that when you're doing credit repair that everything's just supposed to everything comes off in one round of letters. No, we have letters all the way to 10 rounds of letters. So we're supplying you with the top 10 elite letters for all 10 rounds of credit disputing, right? So let's go down into the the steps. So round one is the first letter, which must always be sent out first. And this is a verification letter, right? So you're letting the bureaus know that you have found incorrect items on your report and that it's up to them to verify the information within 30 days. So some of those things that you start off with is like you want to start off with the names, the addresses, right? And then work yourself down. But the name and address is the first thing that you go for verification. And you will be surprised. Like there may be misspelling in your name, there may be the wrong addresses, past old addresses. You want those to even be off of there, right? There should only be one address associated with your name. Round two, this is a no response letter, right? This is when the credit bureaus, they do not respond, right? So what we do is that we send a no response letter, right? So ignoring the request is unacceptable. And unfortunately, you may need to remind them more than once that they need to comply. So we have the no response letter. If you send out your letters and they do not reply, send them the no response letter, right? So round three, this is a reinvestigation letter. After you've sent out the past two letters, right, that lets the bureaus know that you're not giving up, they're always hoping that you stop, right? But with consistency, you let them know that, listen, I'm not taking a break from this, right? So the reinvestigation letter is very, very important, right? Now, round four, this is a warning shot. We want to send a warning shot to the credit bureaus. When you contact a credit bureau and either receive a bad response, right, or a no response at all, sometimes you may get a stall letter, right? But either way, you want to remind them that you have all the rights as a consumer. So what's a stall letter? A stall letter comes in various shapes or forms, right? But one of the most popular ones that they tend to send out is one that say like, hey, we've noticed that you've used a credit reporting company to dispute these accounts, right? And they'll try to tell you like, you don't need that. You have the right to do it yourself, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? That's just the stall letter. Another type of stall letter is like they may say, hey, we're not removing it. That's also a stall letter, right? An investigation process, they have to they have to list out the steps that they have taken. And I'll explain that, right? So round five, when we get into that, say we've exhausted all of our options when it comes to disputing with the credit bureaus, right? We've done the verification, right? Maybe they didn't respond and we send a no response. Then we send a reinvestigation and we tell them the things how we want them to process the reinvestigation, and they have to send us back the steps that they took to investigate, right? And then we also send them a warning shot, right? Next, what we do is that we go directly to the furnishers, right? So the furnishers steps is basically the same as disputing with the credit bureaus, right? So what we do is that we send a verification letter as well with the with the furnishers, right? So that they correct or delete the information, right? So then we also have a no response letter for the furnishers. Same thing as the credit bureaus, right? It's just a little bit slightly different, right? But you're following up on a letter that was ignored, right? Round seven, right? This is the furnisher's reinvestigation letter. Now, I know I'm saying the same thing, but these are literally the steps that we do with both parts on when it comes to credit disputing, right? So for the furnishers, we also want to do a reinvestigation process, right? And again, this is very similar to the credit bureau reinvestigation, but the name gives it away, right? And you're asking the furnisher for another investigation, right? Number 8 is another warning shot that you're going to send out to them, right? Same as the bureau warning shot, right, when they ignore you and they don't comply with the laws, this letter sends a clear warning that you're not taking no for an answer. So some things in the warning shot is that we let them know, like, hey, if you do not do this, we're gonna go complain to the CFPB and the FTC and the BBB, right? Round 9 is a validation letter. So if you have like an aggressive debt collector, what this may do is that this may actually pause their efforts, right? And or get them to completely stop, right? If they do not have the valid information. Also, if you're looking to pay off your debt, you want to actually know that you're paying the right person, right? So this is why a validation letter in itself is very beneficial, because it may help them. It may, if they don't have the information validated correctly, then they're gonna stop. They're not gonna pursue it. They're gonna pause, right? And again, if you are going to decide to pay them back, you want to make sure that you're paying the right person, right? And get all of this in writing too as well. And lastly is the estoppel by silence, right? So this estoppel letter is used when a debt collector ignores your request for validation, right? So basically, if you gave a debt collector the opportunity, right, to speak up and validate the debt, but they failed to respond, you're assuming that their silence means that they agree with you. So it's always good to send a stop letter, right? And send this certified mail and include your previous validation demand letter, right? So you want to include your previous letter that you've also sent them. And what it can do is that it can stop a debt collector dead in their tracks and sometimes result in deletion from your credit report. Now, these are, listen, when I say this, these top 10 letters are an elite gold mine. This is literally the strategy. This is literally the steps when it comes to your basic credit repair. I highly recommend that you guys take advantage of this. Get yourself the top 10 letters, right? And start repairing your credit right away. Now, let's jump into lesson number 5. If you think this was something, we got some more things for you. Like I'm talking about, what are some other things that we do after we send out the letters? What's the process I got you. Let's go into lesson number 5.